The alarm buzzed through the space station like an angry wasp. Captain Jake Morrison was drinking his morning coffee when the red lights started flashing. He put down his cup and walked fast to the control room. "What's going on?" Jake asked his communications officer. "We got a distress call, Captain. It's bad," said Officer Danny White. His face was pale. "It's the research ship, Harmony's Edge. They've been captured." Jake felt his stomach drop. The Harmony's Edge carried 20 Zilani scientists and 5 human guards. The Zilani were small, gentle beings who looked like walking flowers. They were the smartest people in the galaxy when it came to medicine. They had helped cure diseases that killed millions. "Who took them?" Jake asked. "The Korthok Raiders," Danny said. "They're in the Void Nebula." Jake cursed under his breath. The Void Nebula was the worst place in space. Strange gravity pulled ships apart, lightning storms fried electronics. Most ships that went in never came out. "Play the message," Jake said. The speakers crackled. A scared voice came through the static. "This is Dr. Ben Foster from the Harmony's Edge. We are prisoners of the Korthok Raiders. They want the complete technology databases of 3 major civilizations. If they don't get them in 72 hours, they will kill us all. Please, someone help us." The message ended. The control room was quiet except for the hum of computers. "Get me a line to the Galactic Council," Jake said. "They need to hear this." 2 hours later, Jake watched the Emergency Council meeting on his screen. Representatives from dozens of alien species filled the Great Hall. At the center sat Ambassador Veltar, a tall blue being with 4 arms and wise old eyes. "We have all heard the distress call," Veltar said. "The question now is what we can do." One by one, the alien representatives spoke. None of them had good news. The Altarian delegate stood up. She looked like a giant bird with silver feathers. "My people cannot help. We have treaties that forbid military action." The Zarian representative was next. He was short and round with green skin. "Do not have enough ships. Our fleet is busy protecting our own worlds." Jake watched as more species made excuses. The Centauri said they were too far away. Obetans said their ships were too small. Even the mighty Draconian Empire refused to help. General Curvus of the Draconians was huge, even sitting down. Scales were black as space and his eyes burned like red stars. "The Void Nebula is a death trap," he growled. "Any rescue mission would be suicide. We will not waste good soldiers on an impossible task." Jake felt anger building in his chest. These were the same aliens who had begged for human help during the Plague Wars, the same ones who called humans their friends when they needed something. Dr. Lisa Carter spoke for Earth. She was small compared to most aliens, but her voice was strong. "What about the ransom? Can't we pay it?" Veltar shook his head. "The databases they want contain the secrets of interstellar travel, weapons, technology, and medical knowledge. If the Korthok get them, they could destroy the peace we have built." "So we just let the Zilani die?" Lisa asked. "It is regrettable," said the Altarian. "But sometimes sacrifices must be made for the greater good." "The Zilani knew the risks when they chose to explore dangerous space," added the Xerion. Jake had heard enough. He turned on his communicator. "Dr. Carter, this is Captain Morrison. I'm requesting permission to speak to the Council." Lisa looked surprised but nodded. "The Council recognizes Captain Morrison of the human fleet." Jake's face appeared on the big screen. The alien representatives looked at him with curiosity. Most had never seen a human military officer before. "Honored members of the Council," Jake began. "I've been listening to this discussion. I've heard every species explain why they can't help the Zilani. Well, I have something to say." The hall was silent. Even General Corvus leaned forward to listen. "The Zilani saved my daughter's life," Jake said. 3 years ago, she caught red fever. Human doctors said she would die. But a Zilani healer named Dr. Fenelay worked for weeks to find a cure. She didn't ask for payment. She didn't ask what species we were. She just saw a sick child and decided to help." Jake's voice got stronger. "Now those same Zilani need help. And what do I hear? Excuses, treaties, military resources, greater good." He paused. "You know what I don't hear? Is anyone asking how we can save them?" Ambassador Veltar spoke carefully. "Captain Morrison, We understand your feelings. But the Void Nebula has claimed thousands of ships. Gravitational storms alone would tear apart most vessels. Can't the Korthok have 50 warships waiting? So, Jake said. So, it would be suicide. General Corvus growled. Your human emotions cloud your judgment. Jake smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. Maybe, but at least we have emotions. At least we care about something other than ourselves. The council chamber erupted in angry voices. Some aliens shouted that humans were too reckless. Others said they were naive. A few said they were dangerous. Veltar called for order. Council has made its decision. We cannot authorize a rescue mission. The risk is too great. Dr. Carter stood up slowly. The chamber became quiet again. Then the council has made its choice, she said, and so have we. What do you mean? Velta asked. The humans are going, Lisa said simply. With or without council approval. General Corvus laughed, but it sounded like rocks grinding together. 3 human ships against 50 Korthok raiders? In the Void Nebula? You will all die, and the Zilani will die anyway. Maybe, Lisa admitted, but at least we'll die trying to do the right thing. Jake felt proud of Dr. Carter. She was showing these aliens what humans were really made of. This is madness, said the Altarian. Your species will regret this emotional decision. Our species will regret doing nothing even more, Lisa replied. The council session ended with no agreement. But Jake didn't care about their approval anymore. He opened a channel to all human ships in the sector. This is Captain Morrison to all human vessels. We have friends in trouble. They're counting on us. Who's with me? The answers came fast. Captain Rick Hayes of the frigate Steadfast. Captain Maria Gonzalez of the assault ship Thunderbolt. Of supply ships, patrol boats, and even civilian transports volunteered. Within 6 hours, Jake had his fleet. 3 warships and enough volunteers to crew them twice over. It wasn't much compared to the Korthok force, but it was what they had as. The human ships prepared to leave. Jake received one final message from the council. It was from Veltar himself. Captain Morrison, I have lived for 300 years. I have seen empires rise and fall. But I have never seen such courage or such foolishness. I pray you prove me wrong about which one this is. Jake turned off the communicator and looked at his crew. They were scared, he could tell, but they were ready. All right, people, he said. Let's go save our friends. The iron will hummed with activity as Jake Morrison walked through the corridors. His crew was working hard to prepare for the mission. Everyone knew they might not come back, but nobody complained. Captain on deck called out Commander Amy Rodriguez as Jake entered the engineering section. She was his second in command and had been with him for 5 years. How are we looking, Amy? Jake asked. Amy wiped grease from her hands. Pete's been working miracles with the engines. Should be able to handle the nebula's gravity storms better than most ships. Chief Engineer Pete Johnson crawled out from under a power console. His uniform was dirty and his face was tired, but he was smiling. I've reinforced the hull plating and upgraded our shields. We won't be pretty when we come out, but we'll come out in one piece. Jake nodded. What about weapons? All systems ready, Captain, said Lieutenant Dan Brown, the weapons officer. We've loaded extra missiles and charged all energy banks. We're going to fight 50 Korthok ships. We'll need every shot to count. Jake looked around at his crew. They were young, most of them, fresh out of the academy. They should be on patrol duty near Earth, not heading into the most dangerous place in the galaxy. Listen up, everyone, Jake said. I want you all to know something. What we're about to do is dangerous. Maybe impossible. Anyone who wants to transfer to another ship can do it now. There's no shame in that. The crew looked at each other. Nobody moved. We're with you, Captain, Amy said. Those Zilani would do the same for us. Jake felt proud of his people. This was why humans were different. Other species made decisions with their heads. Humans made them with their hearts. 2 hours later, the 3 human ships met at the edge of the Void Nebula. Jake opened a communication. Channel to the other captains. This is Morrison. Status report. Captain Rick Hayes of the Steadfast. came on first. Rick was older than Jake, with gray hair and calm eyes. "Ready, Jake? My crew is scared but determined. We've got extra medical supplies in case we find injured Zilani." Captain Maria Gonzalez spoke next. Maria was tough as steel and twice as sharp. Her ship, the Thunderbolt, was built for close combat, all weapons hot and ready. My Marines are itching for a fight with these Korthok scum. Gosh. Jake looked at the nebula ahead of them. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. Purple and blue clouds swirled like a giant storm. Lightning flashed between the gas clouds. In the distance, he could see the twisted remains of ships that had tried to enter and failed. "Remember the plan," Jake said. "We stay together as long as possible. Watch out for gravity wells and electrical storms. Our main goal is to find the Zilani and get them out alive." "What about the Korthak?" Maria asked. "We fight if we have to. But this isn't about glory, it's about rescue." Jake was about to give the order to enter the nebula when another ship appeared on their sensors. It was huge, with black armor and red markings, a Draconian heavy cruiser. "This is Admiral Zexai of the Draconian Imperial Fleet," came a deep, rumbling voice. "Human vessels, you are about to make a terrible mistake." Jake opened a channel. "Admiral, we're on a rescue mission. We don't want any trouble." "Trouble's what you will find," the Admiral replied. "The Void Nebula has destroyed better ships than yours. The Korthok have killed better warriors than you. Turn back now while you still can." "We can't do that, Admiral. People are counting on us." Double quotes. Admiral Zexai was quiet for a moment. "This is exactly why most species consider humans unstable. Let your emotions control your actions. Logic says you should abandon the Zilani and save yourselves." Jake felt anger rising in his chest. "Maybe that's the difference between us, Admiral. We don't abandon our friends." "Friends?" The Draconian sounded confused. "You barely know these Zilani. They are not even your species. Why risk everything for strangers?" "Because it's the right thing to do," Jake said simply. The Admiral laughed. "But it sounded like rocks falling, right and wrong, good and evil. Human concepts that have no place in the real universe. The strong survive, the weak perish. That is the only truth." "Then I guess we'll have to agree to disagree," Jake replied. "Indeed, I will remain here to report your deaths to the Galactic Council. Perhaps your sacrifice will teach other species not to make the same foolish choices." Jake cut the communication. He looked at his bridge crew. They were all watching him, waiting for orders. "All right, people. Time to show the galaxy what humans are made of. Take us in." The iron will moved forward into the nebula. The Steadfast and Thunderbolt followed close behind. Within minutes, the outside universe disappeared behind walls of swirling gas and energy. The ship began to shake as gravity waves hit them. "Hull stress is increasing," reported Pete over the intercom. "But we're holding together." Navigator Tony Walsh worked frantically at his console. "Captain, these gravity fields are playing havoc with our sensors. I can barely tell which way is up." "Do your best, Tony. We need to find that Korthok signal." The three human ships pushed deeper into the nebula. Electric storms crackled around them, making their shields flare with blue light. Twice they had to change course to avoid gravity wells that would have crushed their ships like tin cans. "This place is worse than the report said," Amy muttered, watching her damage control. Bored. "The Korthok must be crazy to hide here," added Dan. "Or smart," Jake said. "They know most species won't follow them." After 3 hours of searching, Tony suddenly looked up from his console. "Captain, I've got something. It's faint, but I think it's a Korthok communication signal." "Can you track it?" Tony nodded. "It's coming from the heart of the nebula, about 6 hours away at current speed." Jake felt his heart race. They were getting close. "Amy, send word to the other ships. Tell them we've found our target, Captain." They moved deeper into the nebula. The conditions got worse. The ship groaned and creaked under the stress. Lights flickered as electrical storms interfered with their power systems. "Captain," called out Ensign Kate Miller from the sensor station. "I'm picking up debris. Lots of it." "What kind of debris?" Kate's face went pale. "Ship hulls. Captain. Looks like at least a dozen vessels, all different species. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. They were flying through a graveyard. These ships had tried to enter the nebula and failed. Their crews were dead, their missions forgotten. Are we going to end up like them? Amy asked quietly. Not if I can help it, Jake replied. But inside he was starting to wonder if the other species were right. Maybe this was suicide. Maybe they were throwing their lives away for nothing. Then he remembered Dr. Finale working day and night to save his daughter. He thought about the 20 Zilani scientists waiting for rescue, probably scared and alone. Ow! Tony, how much farther to that signal? 2 hours, Captain. All right, everyone, we're almost there. Stay sharp and stay ready. When we find those Korthok ships, things are going to get interesting. The Iron Will and her sister ships continued through the deadly nebula. Behind them, Admiral Zexa waited to report their failure. Ahead of them, 50 Korthok warships guarded their prisoners, but the humans kept going. They always did, because sometimes being human meant doing the impossible thing simply because it was right. Tony Walsh looked up from his sensor console with wide eyes. Captain, I've got them. 52 Korthok ships, just like the report said. Jake Morrison moved to stand behind his navigator. On the screen, he could see the enemy fleet spread out. Like a dark cloud, the ships were ugly things, covered in spikes and armor plating. At the center sat their flagship, a massive dreadnought that looked like a flying mountain. There's the Harmony's Edge. Amy Rodriguez pointed at the screen. Looks like they've got her docked to their command ship. Jake could see the research vessel through the static. It looked tiny next to the Korthok flagship. Somewhere inside that ship were 20 scared Zilani scientists, waiting for rescue that most people said would never come. Captain called out. Communications Officer Danny White. The Korthok are hailing us. Put them on screen. The main display changed to show a Korthok war leader. He was huge, with gray skin covered in scars. His teeth were sharp and yellow, and his eyes burned with cruel intelligence. This had to be Brutarch Vexkor, the leader of the Raider fleet. Well, well, Vexkor said in a voice like grinding stone. 3 little human ships come to play, hero. How touching. This is Captain Morrison of the human fleet, Jake replied. We're here for the Zilani prisoners. Release them, and we'll let you go. Vexkor laughed, a sound like breaking glass. Let us go? Little human, do you see how many ships I have? You are 3. We are 52. Even your human mathematics should tell you this is hopeless. Maybe, but we're still here. The Korthok leader leaned forward, studying Jake through the screen. Yes, you are here. And that makes you either very brave or very stupid. I have not decided which. Does it matter? Jake asked. Not really. Both will get you killed. Vexkor showed his sharp teeth in what might have been a smile.
I will make
you an offer, human. Leave now, and I will let you fly away. Stay, and I will kill you all and add your ships to my collection. Jake looked at his bridge crew. They were scared, he could tell, but none of them looked like they wanted to run. Counteroffer, Jake said. You have 30 seconds to release the prisoners and surrender. After that, we take them back by force. Vexkor's laughter filled the bridge. By force? 3 ships against 52? You humans truly are mad. 30 seconds, Jake repeated. You waste my time, Vexkor snarled. When you are dead, I will make the Zilani watch as I turn your ships into scrap metal. The communication ended. Jake turned to his crew. All hands. This is the captain. Battle stations. Today we show these pirates what happens when they mess with our friends. Alarms rang throughout the ship. The bridge lights dimmed to red. Weapon systems came online with a hum of power. Steadfast and Thunderbolt report ready, Captain Amy said. Jake opened a channel to the other ships. Rick, Maria, remember the plan. We go in fast and hard. Our job is to get to that research ship. Copy that, Jake, Rick Hayes replied. My crew is ready. Let's give these Korthok something to remember, Maria Gonzalez added. Jake looked at the tactical display. 52 enemy ships surrounded them in a loose formation. The smart thing would be to try long-range combat, stay back and pick them off one by one. But that would take too long, and the Korthok might kill the prisoners instead. Jake was going to do something no sane captain would attempt. He was going to charge straight into the middle of their fleet. All ships, attack formation, Alpha. We're going right down their throats. The 3 human ships accelerated toward the Korthok fleet. The enemy commanders must have thought they were seeing things. No one attacked 50 ships with only 3. Incoming fire, reported Don Brown from weapons. 12 Korthok ships moving to intercept. Return fire. Target their engines. The space around the iron will lit up with laser fire and missile explosions. The human ships weaved through the enemy formation like sharks through a school of fish. They were smaller and faster than the Korthok vessels, and they used that advantage. Direct hit on enemy cruiser, Dan called out. She's fallen behind. Good shooting. Keep it up. The Thunderbolt lived up to her name, striking like lightning at enemy ships. Maria's crew fought with precision and fury, disabling 3 Korthok vessels. In the first few minutes of combat, the Steadfast took a different approach. Rick Hayes had loaded his ship with extra armor and medical supplies. He used his ship like a battering ram, smashing through enemy formations to clear a path. To the flagship. Hull breach on Deck 7, Pete Johnson reported over the intercom. Damage control teams responding. The iron will shook as Korthok missiles exploded against her shields. Warning lights flashed across the bridge, shields down to 60%. Amy reported. Keep going, Jake ordered. We're almost there. The human ships fought their way through the Korthok fleet with a ferocity that shocked both sides. The enemy had expected easy targets. Instead, they found opponents who fought like cornered tigers. Captain Tony called out, "A Korthok breaking formation. I think we're confusing them." Jake could understand why. Both species fought carefully, trying to minimize losses. The humans were doing the opposite. We're taking huge risks to reach the prisoners quickly. Korthok flagship dead ahead, Amy announced. On the screen, the enemy command ship grew larger. Jake could see the Harmony's edge attached to its side like a parasite. Somewhere inside that research vessel were the people they had come to save. Ships concentrate fire on the flagship's docking clamps, Jake ordered. We need to free that research ship. The 3 human vessels focused their weapons on the massive Korthok ship. Explosions bloomed along its hull as missiles found their targets. The docking clamps are heavily armored, Dan reported. We're not getting through. Then we'll have to do this the hard way, Jake said. He opened a channel to Maria. Thunderbolt, can you get boarding parties onto that flagship? Already on it, Jake? My Marines are suiting up now. Jake watched as the Thunderbolt moved closer to the enemy ship. Korthok fighters swarmed around her, but Maria's gunners shot them down one by one. Boarding pods away, Maria reported. Small ships launched from the Thunderbolt, carrying human Marines toward the Korthok flagship. Jake held his breath as he watched them dodge enemy fire. First pod has made contact, came a voice over the radio. This is Sergeant Kelly Murphy. We're cutting through their hull now. Second pod away, another voice called. Corporal Matt Robinson here. We'll have those Zalani out in no time. Jake felt a surge of pride. His people were actually doing it. Against all odds, they were fighting their way to the prisoners. But the Korthok weren't giving up. More enemy ships moved to surround the human fleet. Vex Corps' voice came over the communication channel. Impressive humans, but you cannot win. Even if you reach the prisoners, you will never escape alive. Watch us, Jake replied. The battle raged around the Korthok flagship. Human and alien ships danced through space, trading fire in a deadly ballet. The Iron Will's hull groaned under repeated hits, but Pete's reinforcements held. Jake, we've got a problem. Rick's voice came over the radio. My ship's taken heavy damage. I don't think the Steadfast can make it out of here. You're not staying behind, Rick. That's an order. It might not be my choice, friend. Jake gritted his teeth. They had come too far to lose anyone now, but the Korthok were pressing their attack, and more enemy ships kept arriving. Then Tony looked up from his console with a grin. Captain, getting signals from inside the flagship. Our Marines have reached the prisoners. Kelly here, came Sergeant Murphy's voice. We found the Zalani. They're scared but alive. Give us 5 minutes to get them to the escape pods. Jake looked. At the tactical display, 5 minutes might as well be 5 hours. The Korthok were closing in from all sides. All ships. Defensive formation. We hold here until our people are safe. The 3 human ships formed a triangle around the Korthok flagship, their weapons firing in all directions. They were outnumbered 20-1, but they fought like they were the ones with superior numbers. This is insane, Amy muttered, watching the tactical display. We're actually winning. Jake smiled grimly. Maybe that's what it takes sometimes, a little insanity. On the screen, he could see escape pods launching from the Korthok flagship. Each one carried rescued Zilani scientists, fleeing toward the human ships. All prisoners evacuated, Sergeant Murphy reported, Marines returning to ships. Jake felt relief wash over him. They had done it. Against all odds, they had saved the Zilani. Now they just had to get everyone home alive. The escape pods streaked through space toward the human ships. Jake Morrison watched on his screen as each small vessel carried precious cargo the Zilani scientists they had come to save. Pod recovery in progress, reported Amy Rodriguez.
12.
Pods safe aboard the Iron Will. 8 more coming to us, added Captain Rick Hayes over the radio. These little guys look pretty shaken up. Jake felt relief flooding through him. The Zilani were safe, but the mission wasn't over yet. They still had to get everyone out of the Void Nebula alive. Warning, shouted Tony Walsh from his sensor station. More Korthok ships incoming. Looks like reinforcements. Jake cursed. On the tactical display, he could see 20 more enemy vessels approaching fast. The Korthok had called for backup. Vexcor must really want us dead, Don Brown muttered from weapons control. Suddenly, alarms started blaring throughout the ship. Red lights flashed across the bridge. Captain Pete Johnson's voice came over the intercom. We've got major problems down here. That last hit damaged our main engine. We're losing power fast. Jake felt his heart sink. Without engines, they were sitting ducks. Can you fix it? I'm trying, but it's bad. Really bad. We might lose main power completely. On the communication screen, Vexcor's ugly face appeared. Again, the Korthok leader was grinning with his sharp teeth. Did you think it would be that easy, humans? You may have rescued your precious Zilani, but now you will all die together. We're not dead yet, Jake replied. No, but you will be soon. My reinforcements will arrive in 10 minutes. Your damaged ships cannot escape. I will enjoy watching you burn. The transmission ended. Jake looked around his bridge. His crew was scared but still working. They hadn't given up yet. Status report, Jake ordered. The Steadfast has heavy damage to her hull, Amy reported. Life support is failing. The Thunderbolt lost her main weapons array. Things were looking bad. Very bad. But Jake had learned something about humans during his years in space. They fought hardest when things looked hopeless. All ships. New plan, Jake announced. We're going to punch a hole through their formation and make a run for the nebula edge. That's what engines, Rick asked. The Steadfast can barely move. Then, we'll tow you, Jake said simply. Jake, that's suicide. You'll never make it with our dead weight. Nobody gets left behind, Rick. That's not how we do things. While they talked, the battle continued around them. Korthok ships circled like sharks, firing at the human vessels. The Iron Will's shields flashed blue as enemy lasers hit them. Shields down to 30%, Amy reported. Hull breach on Deck 12, added Damage Control Officer Lisa Wong. We're sealing it now. In the middle of the chaos, a small voice came over the intercom. It was one of the rescued Zilani scientists. Captain Morrison, this is Dr. Fenelay. I wanted to thank you. Jake recognized the name. This was the Zilani who had saved his daughter. Doctor, you should be in the medical bay. Safer there. Safe is relative right now, Dr. Fenelay said with what sounded like a laugh. I wanted you to know that what you humans have done today will never be forgotten. You risked everything for people you barely knew. It's what friends do, Jake. Replied, yes. Friends, we had forgotten what that word really meant. The galaxy will remember this. Before Jake could respond, Sergeant Kelly Murphy's voice crackled over the radio. "Captain, this is Murphy aboard the Korthok flagship. We've got a problem." "What's wrong, Sergeant? There are more prisoners here?" "Human prisoners. Looks like they've been here for months." Jake felt anger rise in his chest. "How many?" 15. "They're in bad shape, but alive." The Korthok had been using them as slaves. Jake didn't hesitate. "Get them out of there." "Sir, my Marines are already wounded. The Korthoks are fighting hard to stop us." "I don't care. We don't leave anyone behind."
Happy.
"That, Captain..." The next few minutes felt like hours. Jake listened to the sounds of fighting coming over the radio as his Marines battled through the Korthok ship. Laser fire echoed through the metal corridors. Men shouted orders and cried out in pain. "Got them," Murphy finally reported. "Secured. But Captain, we've got a big problem. The Korthok are trying to blow up their own ship. They'd rather die than let us escape. Get to the escape pods now." "Already moving, sir." Jake watched as more pods launched from the Korthok flagship. These carried his Marines and the human prisoners they had found, but the enemy ships were closing in fast. "Incoming missiles," Dan reported. "Lots of them." The space around the human fleet filled with explosions. The Iron Will rocked back and forth as shockwaves hit her hull. "Direct hit on the Thunderbolt," Tony called out. "She's venting atmosphere. Maria, report." Jake shouted into his communicator. Captain Gonzalez's voice came back weak and crackling. "We're hurt bad, Jake. Lost main power. My crew is trying to patch the holes, but I don't think we're going anywhere." Jake made a decision that went against everything he had learned in the academy. Instead of retreating to save his own ship, he ordered the Iron Will to move closer to the damaged Thunderbolt. "Amy, prepare tractor beams. We're taking the Thunderbolt with us, sir. That will slow us down too much. The Korthok will catch us, then we fight them." "Jake." "No," Rick's voice came over the radio. "You can't save us all. Take the Zilani and run. Complete the mission." "The mission isn't complete until everyone is safe," Jake replied firmly. Pete Johnson's voice came over the intercom. "Captain, I've got the engines back online. Not at full power, but we can move." "Good work, Pete. Amy, lock tractor beams on both ships. We're leaving together or not at all." The Iron Will extended energy beams to grab both damaged vessels. Ship groaned under the extra weight, but Pete's engines held. "All ships secured," Amy reported, "but we're moving very slowly." On his screen, Jake could see the Korthok reinforcements getting closer. 20 fresh ships against his limping fleet. The math was simple, and it wasn't good. "Incoming transmission," Danny announced. Admiral Zexai appeared on the screen. The Draconian looked surprised. "Captain Morrison, my sensors show you have rescued the prisoners? Why do you not retreat? We have injured ships. We won't abandon them. You could escape with most of your people. Instead, you choose to risk everyone for a few damaged vessels." "That's right," Jake said simply. The Admiral was quiet for a moment. "You humans are either the bravest species in the galaxy or the most foolish." "Maybe both," Jake admitted. "Indeed. This is why the Draconians will never understand you." The transmission ended, leaving Jake to wonder what the Admiral meant. The 3 human ships moved slowly through space, connected by tractor beams. Behind them, the Korthok fleet gave chase. Ahead lay the edge of the Void Nebula and safety.
"There."
"Gaining on us," Tony reported. "This speed they'll catch us in 20 minutes. Jake looked at his crew. They were tired and scared, but still working. In the medical bay, human and Zilani doctors worked together to treat the wounded. In engineering, Pete and his team kept the overloaded engines running. Captain Dr. Finale's voice came over the intercom again. "The Zilani have discussed this among ourselves. We want you to know that if we don't survive this, it was still worth it. You showed the galaxy what courage looks like." Jake smiled grimly. "We're all going home, Doctor. I promise." But as the Korthok ships got closer, Jake wondered if he could keep that promise. The final battle was about to begin. The Korthok ships were getting closer. Jake Morrison watched the tactical display as 20 enemy vessels closed in on his small fleet. The Iron Will was pulling both damaged ships toward the edge of the nebula, but they were moving too slowly. Minutes until they reach us, Tony Walsh reported from his station. Jake opened a channel to his other captains. Rick Maria, status on your ships? Steadfast is holding together, Rick Hayes replied. But we still can't fight. Same here, Maria Gonzalez added. The Thunderbolt is a sitting duck. Jake looked at his bridge crew. They had come so far and saved so many people. He wasn't going to give up now. Amy, release the tractor beams. He ordered. Commander Rodriguez looked shocked. Captain, if we leave them behind... We're not leaving them behind. We're going to make a stand. Jake opened a channel to the entire fleet. All hands. This is Captain Morrison. The Korthok reinforcements will be here soon. I'm ordering the Steadfast and Thunderbolt to continue toward safety with all prisoners. The Iron Will stay and buy you time. No way, Jake. Rick's voice came over the radio. We fight together. Your ships can't fight. Get the Zilani and human prisoners out of here. That's an order. Jake, you can't fight 20 ships alone, Maria protested. Maybe not. But I can slow them down long enough for you to escape. Before anyone could argue further, a new voice came over the communication channel. It was Admiral Zexai of the Draconian Fleet. Human vessels. This is Admiral Zexai. I have been monitoring your situation, Admiral. We're a little busy, right? Now, Jake replied. Indeed. That is why I am transmitting new orders to the Korthok fleet. Jake was confused. What orders? Orders to retreat immediately or face the consequences. On his screen, Jake could see the Korthok ships suddenly slowing. Down, they seemed unsure what to do. Admiral, I don't understand, Jake said. Captain Morrison, in 300 years of military service, I've never seen such courage. You humans fight not for glory or conquest, but to protect others, even your enemies. This is something my people have forgotten. Jake watched as massive Draconian warships appeared on his sensors. 5 heavy cruisers, larger than anything the Korthok had. The Draconian Imperial fleet is assuming protection of this rescue operation, the Admiral announced. Any Korthok vessel that does not retreat immediately will be destroyed. Jake felt relief wash over him, but he was still confused. Admiral, why are you helping us? Because today, you have taught an old warrior something about honor. The Zilani are under our protection now, as are you. The Korthok ships turned and fled. Even Broodarch Vexcor wasn't crazy enough to fight the Draconian Imperial fleet. All human vessels, this is Admiral Zexai. You have accomplished something remarkable today. The galaxy will remember what happened here. Human ships limped out of the Void Nebula. The Iron Will's hull was cracked and scorched. The Steadfast barely held together. The Thunderbolt had lost half her systems. But they were alive, and everyone was safe. At the Outer Rim station, crowds of aliens waited to see the impossible. The human fleet that had entered the deadly nebula against all advice had come back out with every prisoner. They went to save. Dr. Finelle was the first to leave the medical bay. She walked slowly to the bridge, still weak from her captivity. When she saw Jake, tears ran down her face. Captain Morrison, how can we ever thank you? She asked. No thanks needed, Doctor. You saved my daughter once. We just returned the favor. Was about more than one child, Dr. Finelle said. This was about showing the galaxy what friendship means. Jake nodded. Around the bridge, his crew was exhausted but proud. They had done something nobody thought was possible. Captain Amy said quietly, We're getting messages from all over the galaxy. Everyone wants to know how we did it. What should I tell them? Jake asked. The truth. We didn't abandon our friends. Over the next few days, the story spread throughout known space. The humans who had rescued the Zilani from impossible odds. The 3 ships that had faced 50 and 1. The courage that had made even the proud Draconians take notice. But for Jake, the real victory came in a quiet moment in the medical bay. He was visiting his wounded crew when he saw something that made him smile. Human and Zilani doctors were working together, sharing medical knowledge and techniques. The rescued human prisoners were helping to care for injured Zilani scientists. Different species, different worlds, but all of them taking care of each other. Captain Dr. Feneley approached him. The Zilani Council has made a decision. We are sharing our advanced medical technology with humanity, not with the Galactic Council. It's with you specifically. That's very generous, but it is not generosity. It is gratitude. You risked everything for us. The least we can do is help your people live longer, healthier lives.
Ouch.
Jake felt honored. The Zilani medical technology was the most advanced in the galaxy. This gift would save millions of human lives. A week later, Jake stood on the observation deck of the rebuilt Iron Will. Through the transparent aluminum, he could see Earth spinning slowly in space. Home. They had made it home. Amy joined him at the window. So what now, Captain? Back to regular patrol duty? Jake shook his head. I don't think so. We're getting requests from all over the galaxy. Colonies that need protection. Trade routes that need escorts. Scientists who need safe passage through. Dangerous space. Sounds like we're going to be busy. It seems the word has gotten out about humans. When someone needs help, when the situation looks hopeless, when nobody else will go. Jake paused. They call us. Are you okay with that? Jake thought about the Zilani scientists, safe now with their families. He thought about the human prisoners they had found, free after months of captivity. He thought about Admiral Zexai, learning that honor was more important than logic. Yeah, I'm okay with that. It's what we do. On his desk was a message from the Galactic Council. They wanted to give the human fleet medals for their courage. Jake had turned down the offer. His crew didn't need medals to know they had done the right thing. Instead, he kept a simple message from Dr. Feneley on his wall. It said, "Thank you for showing us what humans are really made of." As Jake watched Earth turn below him, he thought about the future. There would be more missions. More impossible rescues. More times when the smart choice would be to walk away and let others handle their own problems. But humans didn't make the smart choice. They made the right choice. 3 months later, the Iron Will received another distress call. A mining colony on the edge of Korthok space was under attack. The local authorities said it was too dangerous to attempt a rescue. Jake looked at his crew. They were ready. All hands, this is the captain. We have friends in trouble. Time to go to work. The Iron Will turned toward the stars and accelerated. Behind her came a small fleet of human ships, all volunteers. They carried a simple banner that had become famous across the galaxy. No one left behind, because that's what humans did. When someone needed help, they answered the call, even when it seemed impossible, especially when it seemed impossible.